Hey guys, it's Jet888 here. May 5th, I'm going to cover the LAPD and how they're using some new information technology, how it works with Operation Warp Speed, how that works with the needle crafting agenda and plan. I'm going to show a little bit of the Wizard of Oz author and specifically the Tin Man, and let's see, there's a lot of other little things. The number 10, how that kind of fits into the whole needle crafting CV19, the number 19. I'm going to go over a little bit of everything and see if we can sort of piece this together. Look at that reflection there, like a mirror. Okay, here we go. As your mirror is 91, you flip it upside down or backwards, it's 19 as in COVID-19 or AI, and 9 plus 1 is 10, which is also AI. Which, remember this for later, but it's also seahorse. I'll show you something about that later. So here was a briefing on the Operation Warp Speed. And this guy said that he wanted to give a briefing. I want to begin by providing some context on how far we've come and how that informs the next stage of the vaccination program we're announcing today through Operation Warp Speed. I'm going to stop it here. And it's interesting because this is the CDC guy. I think Redfield is his name. It's interesting because what I noticed, that table I showed, it had that reflection. Let me see if I can find that again. So here it is, so it says crash landing of Operation Warp Speed. But what's interesting is not once did they have this table that created this kind of reflection. So that was put in there for the visuals. And I think the words reflection is significant. And here's why, because here are some of the numbers, the numerology behind it. It's also warp speed, mountain, as in like what looks like to me with that Lockheed Martin, the mountain, it looks like an M for mountain, and it looks like a mountain range if I were to flip it. I don't want to mess the camera up. The anagram was children meet okay. And I'll jump from that mountain that we just looked with the Lockheed Martin to I Master Chef. So the numerology of I Master Chef seems pretty fitting. And shooting, which we've seen a lot of those lately, and military, which is who is involved with this whole Operation Warp Speed. So OWS briefing the Operation Warp Speed, and notice the metamorphosizing crow. It goes from the person's head or profile to what looks like it could be a crow, maybe an eagle, but and that's their logo. It looks like an eyeball. The General Perna here, he was the one that kicked this off, and he's the one that was mentioning PPP, as in public-private partnership, and that's what the LAPD has now just stated that they're part of, the PPP, where all the corporations will work with the government too. Everyone's all in it together. Yep. And like he just stated here, and what we're going to talk about here today is a public-private partnership. So they're all in it together, sadly. So looking at the numerology here, the 9 and 3, and then I'll look at 3 and 9. So the number 93 is associated oftentimes with Thelema. That's Aleister Crowley's cult. And they basically believe in the do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will. But look at that logo. Let me keep going, but just keep your mind's thoughts on that logo for a sec. Do you know whose logo that is? It's Lockheed Martin's. And they're headquartered in Bethesda, Maryland. The Lockheed Martin Corporation is an American aerospace arms, defense, information security, and technology corporation with worldwide interest. Here's their logo. Notice the Baphomet in the same thing and like an M. You've got a lot of things going on there. And I mentioned the anagram for Lockheed Martin is children meet okay, like serve meat, like metaverse. So 93 is one of a series of symbolic numbers that is associated with Aleister Crowley. And look, there's all your symbolism. You've got the Star of David, you got the Ouroboros, you got the swastika. So these guys are very hung up on their symbols. But looking at Thelema, look at the anagram. It's Telly Ham, and police, sometimes they're referred to as pigs, and pigs is ham. I just think that's kind of funny. Telly. But Telly and Ham are also 39 if you want to flip that 93 around in the gematria. And 93 in gematria is ID chip. It's also an end game. But here's your Baphomet head, and there's your star again. And interesting how that Baphomet head looks a little bit like it could be something of these guys. So do you trust them? You can also look at that as VV. It's VV is also a warrior of light, which also is the number 44. And here is your Los Angeles Police Department to protect and to serve. And notice how they have, let's see, there's 5 and 4. And just like the LAPD logo, they've got 4 stars. And then the 5 stars, which is interesting. They also have another 4 on the outside. So they have a 44, and then they have the 54. So that's your Operation Warp Speed. With the General Perna and the whole launch off to the whole needle crafting agenda. Here we go with technology. I'm going to share just a couple things. This video was sent to me by Constructs of the State. Thank you. And I just want to show you, there's like technologies are coming out of the yin yang. We think that we need to always have the latest technology. And I'm telling you, this is going to be a death trap for the people if we don't wake up. Here's Los Angeles, LAPD, the information technology. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And there's 9 little stars there, and then 3 on the outside. See how that rope is surrounding looks like the planet or something, like the grid system. So this is a video I watched. LAPD announces, that's the Los Angeles Police Department in California, announces the deployment of Axon Fleet 3 in cars. It's an in-car camera system. Of course, they don't have comments because it's not about free speech or anything or getting the public opinion. So this is 1 day ago. So it says, with the addition of Axon's Fleet 3 to the already deployed Axon body cameras, the Cradle Point and Axon system seamlessly integrate for ease in use and manageability, because it's all about managing the people. Adding wireless connectivity to each vehicle unlocks the ability to wirelessly upload video data to the agency's existing storage infrastructure. Cradle Point Net Cloud Manager provides remote network and cellular connectivity management to LAPD, allowing them to control and administer the entire vehicle fleet easily, effectively, and efficiently. So here they are with, these people don't know what they're doing to their own selves. I don't know, they sold out, I guess. You know, and it's always about your safety, right? Keeping you safe. So one thing they don't realize, though, is what does the wireless stuff going on in these vehicles do to the police force? So they've taken out the military with the needlecraft. Now they're going to take out the police force with the AI, the technology, and the 5th generation radiation. Here's another woman onto the scene. They always need their little handlers. What's in that purse? They always need to have the people standing behind them. Yep. So he's got 8 bars on his sleeve. And here, to protect and serve. No, it's not really to protect and serve. It's to uphold the Constitution. You're a policy officer. These people are digging their own grave and they don't even see what's happening. They're just falling in line. They're going to be used. They're like fodder. So they've joined the PPP he mentioned, the public-private partnership. So he's on board with the whole New World Order UN agenda. So here they posted this another video about the same subject 2 days ago. For some reason, they really wanted to get this out there. LAPD deploys Axon's next generation in-car video system connected by Cradlepoint. So they're watching someone who just ran a stop sign, although there were no victims. They're going to stop her, I guess, get her out of her car. They show you the camera that's being used. They show you what the camera is seeing. Anyhow, they're trying to make you really want to approve of this for your safety. Look what she'll look up at the camera. So it shows the cradle point. They call it cradle point, I guess, where this camera is. So they give some names here. Michael Moore, Chief Police, Los Angeles Police Department. Anthony Espinoza, Captain Innovative Management Division, and John McMahon, Deputy Chief Information Technology Bureau. It says, thank you to the Los Angeles Police Foundation. Without their assistance, Fleet 3, along with many other improvement projects, would not have been possible. So the Los Angeles Police Department is in on the whole electrification of California, at least. So this is Michael Moore. Michael Moore, because I'm reading his badge there. So he is the chief of police. And what's with the blue line there between, I don't know, what's going on there? So Michael Moore with 8 stripes for the Los Angeles Police Department. And has he told his officers yet the EMF and the radio frequency exposure with the millimeter or the microwave frequencies, that they'll be microwaved when they go driving? Do they know that? Is that informed consent for his officers? Hey, officers, ask him if he knows about the EMFs you're going to be exposed to. Just like when you're in a Tesla car, you're exposed to extremely high EMFs. So both these guys have stripes through their badges there. What's that about? And he doesn't. So what's the difference? I don't know. Let's see what's in here. This is the whole unit that's in the back of the trunk of the vehicle that they show you. Let's see. Why isn't my phone working? Play it. So look at all that equipment. What happened to shotguns and dogs? I don't know. I guess they never put the dogs in the back trunk, did they? Okay, so here he is. So I went to look at Axon. Axon is the company that is providing the tools for the 21st century. They call it My90. It's engagement tool that bridges the gap between police leadership, their officers, and the communities they serve. It's basically a taser gun. And look at her tats with the little swirls. Great. And she's in Seattle. Hey, Bill. So a couple years now, this technology has been, I guess, out July 2nd, 2021. How Axon joined forces to develop the next generation in-car camera system. Everything's in camera. You know the word American? See that? It's in camera. Well, this is part of Google's, it says go, and then you've got the O. This guy with the camera is making the other O, and then you have the GLE. So Google is basically goo gel, as in hydrogel, whatever. Look at this. So this is in camera. See that guy? He's got a camera. And if I have time, I'll get to those little fan things in the back. But Google in camera. So we're all being watched. And that was the picture they had, by the way, on May 5th. So 5/5. So we'll just go real quickly and look at the Axon Fleet 3 in-car camera systems. Axon Fleet 3 system in Hebrew or Jewish gematria equals 1440, and so does 5/5. When you look at Fleet 3, it's also Starlink at 104 and 624. And Axon is the same as, well, some of the numerology is equivalent to the Quran, Great Beast, Our God, Islam, Eyes, as in everything, they're watching everything you do, and Nikola, as in Tesla, as in those electric vehicles. So this person is in the police vehicle videotaping that. We should FOIA that personal phone right there. So there's the system. It's called Cradle Point. And Cradle Point is alien contact, controlled, White Rabbit, we're at the year of the rabbit, progress, they think technology is progress, Klaus Schwab, you'll own nothing and be happy, Your Death, and Luciferin, among some others. They basically call into headquarters while you're sitting being EMF'd in the car, and it goes to headquarters and they communicate with the people. It's like real time, I guess. So now you feel really safe, even though they're being microwaved, and I don't think that the police officers know it. Yep, he approves. Okay. Yeah, so they have instant information, and with these great new cameras, this woman that's arrested, they could look at her and they can compare the burglary alert to this woman, and she's wearing the same thing, and they'll probably arrest her. So this all does sound really good right now, but they're using it to get everyone used to cameras, and it's all for your safety. So do you guys also remember how just a couple days ago, maybe longer than that, on May Day, May 1st, I was looking at May Day and what the significance of that is, and that's basically, it's a pagan holiday. But look what I found at one of the government's websites. Mergers and acquisitions, M&A, general term that describes the consolidation of companies or assets through various types of financial transactions, including mergers, acquisitions, consolidations, tender offers, purchase of assets, and management acquisitions. I think this is part of the PPE, where they're all kind of working together, including mergers. Mergers and acquisitions are business transactions in which the ownership of the company's business organizations or their operating units are transferred to or are consolidated with another company or business organization, just like what we saw here with Axon's Next Generation. They're working with the police for you to help them take you off the street and to monitor you. So I found this at the Defense Acquisition Regulation System, DARS, Defense Acquisition. So about our mission, the Defense Acquisition Regulation System, that's DARS, develops and maintains acquisition rules and guidance to facilitate the acquisition workforce as they acquire the goods and services DoD requires, that's the Department of Defense, requires to ensure America's warfighters continue worldwide success. Anyhow, this Axon, they talk about how they joined forces to develop the next generation in-car camera system. Look at all these threes. For the past 3 years, in-car, blah, 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 Axon, Fleet 3, so there's your 333. I thought there was one more. There's another one. They feature an AI powered, it's all AI power for the license plate reader. It's an incredible story. Yeah, they always give you a story, and they talk about here flock safety. Some of the numerology is masonry and conspiracy. So Axon, flock safety, and the LAPD. So the flock says our partnership with Axon is based on the principles we hold in common, that law enforcement technology can be equal parts effective, affordable, and above all, ethically designed. Yeah, because we've never seen a taser or anything kill anyone. So they're talking about the camera being fixed on a pole or integrated into a vehicle. And again, I think those officers should really find out what the EMF exposure that they're going to be exposed to daily when they work, what that's going to do to them and their health. And we don't want anything bad to happen to them, because when they're gone, that's when the real takeover is going to happen. I was looking at a little bit of this, the microwave, the cell towers and stuff. So there's a macro cell, which is this big thing, small cell, which are those guys, and like a little briefcase or something, and the femtocell is what you have in your home. So I was looking at that real quick. It's M. teleflock. It's also comet fel, and moth. Kind of like a moth to the flame was the gematria for it, but here it is. Comet fel is the same gematria, and there's your 19, your 91. You flip that around, you're 19. Anyhow, femtocell, M. teleflock. And here we have the flock safety, which Axon and the LAPD are hooked up to with the new technology. We're going to be technocrated to death. And I was just concerned because just looking at all the sites, this is American Tower, for instance. They're one of the biggest communications providers in the country. So American Tower, when you look at that, it can be New Crematoria. That's their anagram. New Crematoria. How do you like that? It's also like that no-touch target. You don't even have to touch anyone to basically delete them. But here's all the coverage. These are all the cell towers that they have. Like San Diego, Los Angeles is pretty heavy. And they're in Texas, but it's weird. They're in Texas, but yet Texas isn't their main. Well, I guess it's heavy there, isn't it? There's the East Coast. East Coast is getting swamped with cell towers. This is Crown Castle, who they're a real estate investment trust and provider of shared communications infrastructure in the United States. So AT&T sold a lot of their towers to Crown Castle. Now I'm just going over to the cell towers because it's all the 5G stuff that we're going to be really screwed with. Crown Castle, that's a pretty big coverage area there on the East Coast. But so you take their coverage and their tower placement, you look at American Tower's coverage. Here's looking at T-Mobile 5G, Verizon 5G, and AT&T. That's a lot of 5G. Here's Amazon selling you their home cell phone booster. I think that's a Yogi. I think that's called a Yogi antenna, that little thing on the left. So another thing, it says who owns this little article. I haven't read this yet. I'm just looking at the picture. Who owns the 5G cellular towers in the United States? Let's go look. Okay, so it says American Tower, Crown Castle, and SBA Communications. I've not heard of them, I don't think. Here's Crown Castle's little logo, a circular symbol depicting a snake, or less commonly a dragon, swallowing its tail as an emblem of wholeness or infinity. Looks like the Ouroboros to me. So the Ouroboros, just a numerical, 954 and 159. It's associated with number 19, mass shooting, biological weapon, also protected by God. They all have that numerology. It states Ouroboros is an ancient symbol depicting a serpent or dragon eating its own tail. It's adopted as a symbol in Gnosticism and Hermeticism. Let's go look at Hermeticism. So Hermeticism, let's go look at an example here. If you want to keep cookies crisp for a long time, store them in a jar with a hermetic or airtight seal. Hermetic means sealed so that no air can get in. Do you remember during the whole needle crafting ventures? Remember that I can't breathe? Like no air can get in? Interesting, the number, you put that together and flip it upside down, it's 19. 19. And it's interesting that infinity also has the same simple in English gematria. Infinity and I can't breathe. Along with hidden enemy, which also has 55, 550 numerology. It's probably just all coincidence though. And network. Thanks, Crown Castle. Interesting how they've evolved their logo, isn't it? So here's a PDF I saw. It says AT&T agrees to 4.85 billion tower deal with Crown Castle. So they sold Crown Castle a lot of their towers. Who has been increasing their role in the wireless industry, which is not good for us at all. The more wireless we have, you guys, the more screwed up our health is going to be. They talk about the Vodafone here, which I haven't read, and I'll just give you this link. But turning the towers into a multi-billion-dollar payday gives AT&T some more firepower as it goes hunting for deals. Just sharing the word payday. 866 is also vaccinated. You are going to be the meat on that table. The metaverse, remember? Meta and meat. And Crown Castle, look at this. They want property owners to get in on it too. They're trying to spread these cell towers as far as they can to just blanket our land, our earth with frequencies. So they're trying to get the people who are landowners. We're invested in the successful use of your property as you are, which is why we treat it with care and respect it deserves. They're such liars. Oh my God. So they want you to sell out your neighbors. So it says, contact us to explore our flexible options for your tower or rooftop lease. So, you know, now they're doing the stack and pack stuff. I know in California, they're allowing people to purchase property and then build multi-stories. So there's your rooftop up high there. So they want to put, they make it so that property owner could put a tower right on that roof. So how safe or unsafe is that for all your neighbors? So I don't know what's going on with my phone, but contact us to explore our flexible options for your tower or rooftop lease. You register your property as a potential wireless site. So if a carrier needs arises, we'll have your info. So you're going to be able to get money for radiating people in your neighborhood. So Crown Castle is going to stay put. It says the company only operates in the United States. So they're just busy. They're just interested in taking down the United States. It's currently not interested in expanding internationally. Nope, USA is its focus. They're going to take down the United States first. You want to look at Crown Castle real quick? Looking at the anagram, crow, claws, net. Net can also look like 10 or 10, and 10 is also AI, and then the 10 as in the Tin Man, who rusts or oxidizes. The numerology is Project Looking Glass, Feral Towns, and Forest Lawn. And Feral Towns and Forest Lawn are the exact same numerology as Crown Castle. So Forest Lawn, funeral and cremation needs. It's your cremations in cemeteries. And they were founded 1906 by Hubert L. Eaton. We've eaten all of the children. And what I found interesting about the anagram of Crown Castle is Crow Claws Net. There's your HH logo, the Department of Health and Human Services. Look at those crow claws. And notice how that looks like a ribbon. Just like the maypole, or if you look at the words for that, monopoly, if you want to play with the sound of the words, but also it looks like the ribbons on this mergers and acquisitions from the military. Remember the DARS, Defense Acquisition Regulation System? That whole DAR thing, Acquisitions Regulation System, DARS in the Office of the Principal Director, Defense Pricing and Contracting. This is like under the PPPs, Public-Private Partnership. Support of the DoD, that's the Department of Defense, acquisitions of goods and services to support the warfighter. So Defense Acquisition Regulation, DAR Council, DAR. And DAR can also be RAD. And RAD is also a unit of absorbed radiation dose. This states the material absorbing the radiation can be human tissue, air, water, or any other substance. You can look at the word RAD or DAR, flip it around. It's also the LAPD, Los Angeles Police Department. Remember them? And I'll cover this a little bit later too, but this is a monopole, and the monopole, like a mirror, which is like looking glass, and monopole at 6:30 and 1:05 is internet, 9/11, Neuralink, and Dirty Diana, and that's like Dirty AI DNA, which, like the vaccinated numerology, is their payday. So American Tower says the company's 3 largest tenants are AT&T, T-Mobile, that's 18% revenues, and Verizon. And I know American Tower has a tower out in the public park here, and they can't even register it because the frequencies are so high. They're so dangerous, they can't even register it with the FCC. I've done a video on this a while ago. Here I'm skipping, but there's Defense Acquisition Regulations System, Defense Pricing and Contracting. It's kind of an interesting page. You can get lost in it. They just keep it all in the family here. Federal Acquisition Regulation, a lot of acquiring of stuff, acquisition policy. Here's official website of the Office of United Under Secretary of Defense for Acquisitions and Sustainment. So acquisition. So the acquisition, an asset or object bought or obtained typically by a library or museum, but it's an asset. Here are some examples of assets. Individual, here's some individual personal use assets, residential flat, jewelry or cars, and another asset is an organization, business, factory building, plant and machineries or corporate offices. Financial assets, a non-physical asset that gets its value from a contractual right or ownership claim. So acquisition, an asset, we've already discussed that, or object, that could be you, bought or obtained. What's obtained? What does that mean? Obtained by how? Okay, I'm going to show a little bit of the sustainable because that's what I was looking at, and it has the word obtain in it. They want to acquire something, they just obtain it by force usually. I just can't help to see that they're not getting ready for something really big, and it's not going to be at our benefit. As Klaus Schwab said, you'll own nothing and be happy. So here's Industry Day at the Army War College, modernization, which they're doing now with their whole technocratic stuff, their technology, acquisition and soldier readiness. This was February 2019, before the whole needle crafting scheme started. They're talking about BAE systems. I think I mentioned that in one of my videos. Look at this. So it just goes about defense industry. Sorry, I'm just like going super fast through this because they're all about, remember the PPP that the LAPD guy mentioned? They're part of the private-public partnership now. That's all about corporations merging and defense managements. Here they go. And here I'm going to the very bottom. Sorry, I'm just scrolling real quick. Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Army, Acquisition, Logistics, and Technology. They all go hand in hand. Sustainable, sus. Remember that? Sus is suspect. are suspicious. And tain, a thin tin plate. Remember the Tin Man? For the thin tin plate. It's also the foil for the back of mirrors. Here's some words. Tain comes from French and ultimately from Latin. I read that word, its meaning hold. It is related to the root tin. As also, if you look at the different word tin man, this meaning is found in such words as abstain, attain, contain, detain. Like, have you ever been detained? She has. So there's more. Entertain, maintain, obtain, pertain, reign, retain, retinue. Is that retinue? What does that say? Sustain. Sustain as in sustainability. And it's related to the root tin. And tain is a thin tin plate. So it reminds me of the Tin Man. So with all their talk about sustainability and all their talk about mergers and acquisitions and Klaus Schwab's "you will own nothing" plan, remember the whole World Economic Forum? You'll own nothing, but you'll be happy. And I think that they're really putting the gas on the pedal here with this whole starting the May 1st. I think they must have had some kind of ritual, something. I mean, we've seen Oscars, we've seen Super Bowls, we've seen all kinds of little things that they could start using as their little rituals, their little ritual kickoffs. And regarding the maypole, practiced for generations in countries such as Germany and England, and the maypole tradition dates back to the dances ancient people used to do around actual trees in hopes of harvesting a large crop. They may have done that, but the pagans took over and commandeered this whole meaning. Oh yeah, and I happened to run into something about Vanderbilt, and I was looking up that. Look at this woman who's got the mask on behind her. This is Susan Wendt. Susan Ray Wendt, as in Ray, as in you're going to be frequency to death. She's an American cell biologist and academic administrator, currently serving as the 14th and current president of Wake Forest University. You know what a wake is? A wake is a watch or vigil held beside the body of someone who has died, sometimes accompanied by ritual observances, including eating and drinking. Anyhow, here she is. President Susan R. That's Ray Wendt celebrates her first Founders Day Wake Forest news. And see how she's wearing pearls? Pearls are one sign that you've been totally bought by the whole control system. And look at her little, what is that guy called? So 3 months ago, I just showed this kraken and shellfish 3 months ago. It hasn't had a lot of views. So that little drum major that she has on her shirt there, it reminded me of the Build Back Better, because it was a drum major that they tend to have that, I don't know, the bending over back thing. I don't know why they do that, but so that reminds me of the Build Back Better. And I looked that up on this last video, the 3 month ago video, under Kraken and Shellfish. And the Build Back Better was also associated with the harvest. The harvest, and Keanu Reeves with the Matrix thing, but the harvest. And that's what the maypole a long time ago was talking about, was it's to, they, put the ropes around the trees and danced around it in hopes of harvesting a large crop, which I wonder, when you acquire other people's stuff, are you, you're acquiring a huge, large crop too. So what's with those ropes and ribbons around like that? That's weird, unless that's exactly what they're trying to compare it to. And I looked up this harvest thing, and it's called Beltane, is the Gaelic May Day festival. It's traditionally held on May 1st, which is when I kind of started my series about May 1st and May Day, or about midway between the spring equinox and summer solstice in the northern hemisphere. Yeah, so May 1st, May Day, same thing, May Day, and they call it Beltane. There's their little maypole there, Beltane. It's pagan. And the anagram for Beltane is Tinnable. There's your tin. It's really funny. My camera hates it when I say the word ten, but anyhow, tenable, if you can see that, tenable, it says, tenable is able to be maintained or defended against attack or objection. Do you think by any chance, if the Department of Defense or military comes and wants to take away all your stuff, do you think that you're going to be able to defend that? No, but they will. They can take all your stuff. Acquisitions. You'll own nothing but will be happy if you survive. So this was a weird little maypole Mayday thing, and it was basically talking about well, come lasses and come lads, take leave of your dads, and away to the maypole high. There every he has got him a she, and the minstrels standing by, for Willie has got Jill, and Johnny has his Joan, to jig it, jig it, jig it, jig it, jig it up and down. That's quite racy, I would think, for a long time ago. But there's your jig it that they have in that little maypole Mayday poem, jig it. The 330 on 55. Here's 725, jig it. See the IT in there? 75 is AI systems, and look at the numerology, 666111. There's AI system, ammonium nitrate, which I have found them put in their water. At least my water authority had too high of a level of ammonium nitrate in it. It's a bad toxin for the environment and for people. Duracell batteries, which is like, I did a video on this too. It kind of went to the General Electric, which is GE, which EG, that's a video I did also a long time ago. Chips, as in microchips. Reeve, there he is. Billy Shears. Satan, Sky Boss, Goem, Cattle, Judas, JFK Jr., and Iris. JFK Jr. has been coming up a lot. Here's more IT jig. It's AI system, transliteration, the sound of silence, one nation under God, hand or head. So here's WW, that's his name, Dinslow's Scarecrow and the Tin Man. This is the guy that was doing the Wizard of Oz and all that. See how he has that fan, little open fan, an umbrella, and they both have hats. Those are their little props. And here I keep talking about May 5th because I started this on May 1st, and May 5th I didn't get to do what I wanted to cover, but May 5th, some of the numerology there, 528 and 88, is God's plan, poison, window, and artificial, like AI. And also the anagram for God's plan is Pan's Gold also. But here's the Scarecrow and the Tin Man, copyrighted 1904 by W.W. Dinslow, published on August 1904. Here's the Tin Man sitting on a box called Props, and he looks like he's trying to ask the Scarecrow to hand over his hat, and the Scarecrow looks kind of sad, and he also has this fan. He's always got this weird fan. So I looked at the props thing. Remember the Anon? They always had popcorn. Popcorn is con prop. But Tin and the Tin Man, Tin and Mark are exactly, well, the same numerology in the simple and English gematria. And see how this guy always has a fan, the little fixed fan there? Well, the fixed fan is also 414 and 69, which is one of the numerologies that I already showed you, 414. So on April 29th, I covered what they call, let me get down here, the Spectrum Coordination Act, and it was introduced 414. And for some reason, that number 414 keeps popping up a little bit. But it passed the House at 405, and the last action was 406, which is 10. So I'm going to read this. The last action was 406, but it says date 405. All actions on motion to suspend the rules. Suspend the rules. So just throw those out the window. and pass the bill as amended, agreed to by the yeas and nays. 2/3 require. So I look at this Spectrum Coordination Act 2501, and on Troy Balderson's, like Troy, like remember the Trojan horse, Balderson's bill to modernize federal spectrum coordination received subcommittee approval. This was March 8th, 2023. The House Energy and Commerce Subcommittee on Communications and Technology advanced legislation today, led by Congressman Troy Balderson, to modernize federal spectrum coordination. Wireless spectrum is limited resource upon which virtually every American, remember, in camera, every American relies for modern wireless communications. Wireless communications are very dangerous to your health. In fact, whenever there is a supposed pandemic, you'll see that there's a new technology that has been unleashed, and humans need to adapt to it. If you don't die, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, whatever. That's part of that. They want to call it a pandemic so they can rush out the vaccines, and it's just I don't even know what to say. But anyhow, wireless communications. These services include mobile phones, radio and television, satellites, and more. Yeah, lucky us. Federal agencies do not have a great track record at keeping pace with technological advances, says Rep. Balderson. Wonder how much he's getting paid by the communications companies. This legislation pushes federal agencies to keep up so we can ensure uninterrupted access to the critically important technology that we all rely on every day. Sorry, I don't rely on it every day. From the cell phone in your hand, which I'm using right now, but I'm using as a camera, to the radio in your car, it all relies on the efficient and effective federal coordination of this finite resource. This is such, oh God. Anyhow, okay. And he's from Ohio. What else has gone wrong in Ohio, I wonder? Yeah, the guy named Divine, right? Divine, like grapes, like the blood of Jesus Christ. I don't even want to get into that. But they need the wireless technology for AI and the information technology to be able to control you. They have to have that. This guy, he's a dangerous man. Okay, so just one final note here regarding the Wizard of Oz and some of the symbols that they are sort of showing us. We've got the Tin Man, and tin is either T-E-N or T-I-N, but 10 is A-I. And look, he's looking at the black hat, which is black cat or black hat. So black cat, like Halloween. And here's the scarecrow holding the black hat. Here's the actual Wizard of Oz, the scarecrow, again, holding the black hat. And of course, he's got the noose around his neck, that rope around his neck. That's usually not a good thing. But here's our numerology, looking at black hat. We're looking at the Jewish gematria, which is 145. And here's your 10. And your emerald, as in the Emerald City. You know, they got an Emerald City in Washington, where Mr. Bill Gates lives too. And 10 and net are also the same, because it's just backwards. And there's your AI. In Jewish gematria, it's 10. And in simple gematria, it's 10 also. And if you look at the numerology, you've got the A is 1 and A is 6 in English gematria, or upside down, which is 9. So there's your 1-9 also, if you want to look at your numerology that way. Let's go see what 161 is. 161 is Moloch. 161. There's your 396 and your 66. So that's Moloch. I wonder if all this is just by accident. So Moloch is a name or a term which appears in the Hebrew Bible several times, primarily in the book of Leviticus. I see the word evil in there. The Bible strongly condemns practices which are associated with Moloch, practices which appear to have included child sacrifice. I think a lot of people might be familiar with that. So that's Moloch, ancient pagan god of child sacrifice. Kind of reminds you of the little maypole thing. Look at that, just dancing around the little maypole, the monopole for acquisitions. And this mentioning the book of Leviticus. And this says the book of Leviticus is the third book of the Torah and the Old Testament, also known as the third book of Moses. And here's just a really quick diagram I found here. Remember, I've mentioned the word Genesis. The anagram is C sign or is sign, and think of sign as in a wave, like God is a frequency. Exodus, there's your Leviticus, Mount Sinai, and here's your Numbers, and there's your 10:10. Anyhow, I wonder if we are the herd or the flock that they need to bring their offerings. Remember herd mentality, or the herd immunity they've been talking about. Anyhow, lots of freaky little things. It's all probably just a coincidence though. Look at that. What's he going to do with that knife? All right, guys, this has been long enough. Thanks for watching. Try not to get tinned. Isn't that just weird how it just doesn't stop? So the word tin also has some interesting connections. One is beast. Another is created, and remember, whoever creates something is the owner of it. And just one last thought, the Operation Warp Speed, which is OWS, as in, if you look at the anagram, sow, as in the pig, as in the new AI technology and the energy weapons that the LAPD is going to be using, and all the AI and all the let's see, operating systems that are in the Needlecraft that Operation Warp Speed divvied out. Black Hat. Okay, AI. All right, guys, that's enough. Take care.